Welcome and thank you for joining us for Myths and Truths of Aging. My name is Joan Newman and I'm the Executive Director at Kensington Place, a Kensington Senior Living community offering 2 levels of memory care in Redwood City, California. Kensington Senior Living has 7 unique communities, 4 located in Virginia, Maryland, and New York, and 3 sister communities located in California. Kensington is truly privileged to support caregivers from coast to coast. Kensington Senior Living focuses on relationship-based care built on the foundation of our promise to love and care for your families as we do our own. That promise was what initially drew me to become part of the Kensington team. Webinars and educational events like today are so important for those of us walking through a caregiving journey, to hear from expert professionals on keeping us current with the latest advances in care, management, and the treatment of conditions that affect seniors and their families. Please know that registered guests will receive a copy of today's webinar to share with friends and family. If you're new to Zoom and the platform, this presentation is the webinar format. This means your cameras and microphones will remain off and muted throughout the presentation. We will be answering questions that were previously submitted at the time of registration, but we'll also answer additional questions during the Q&A section and if time permits. I would now like to proudly introduce Dr. Ayati. Dr. Ayati is the medical director here at Kensington Place. He is a part of Stanford University, and we're thrilled to have him as part of our team and with us today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ayati.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me today in your webinar. It's a pleasure to be here. And very interesting topics about myths and truths about healthy aging. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go start. Before I start, I just want to say that I'm a geriatrician in community, also teaches Stanford as adjunct faculty in geriatric medicine and general medicine. And healthy aging is the area that it's the area of my interests. I really enjoy and have a lot of interest to understand more about it. And I just wanted to share with you a quick review of what we know about some of the facts, some of the myths that we know about healthy aging, and probably answer some of the questions that you have. Without any delay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and I'm going to start. You see my screen right now. Do you see my screen right now, everyone? Okay. Okay, now here we go. This is the topic of healthy aging, and I'm gonna go ahead and talk to you about some of the topics that we always talk about healthy aging. And the first questions will come here that do you agree with this for healthy aging? And for example, everywhere you go to the website, you go to a Google search, and everybody says yes to exercise, mental stimulation, stay positive, taking less medication. There is no vitamins and supplements can help you with to live longer, and they're also better sleep at night will help your memory. Today, we're going to discuss about these topics. That's why scientifically, why these are the items is actually important, because a lot of people say, well, everybody knows that I need to do exercise, I need to do mental stimulation, I stay positive. But there's always something behind of that. That's why, again, if you all agree that for all these items that doing exercise, stay positive, taking less medication, be mentally stimulated, then you probably don't need to be in the entire presentation, and you're graduated from this presentation and you know it. But I wanted to have some case for you in the next minutes to discuss about what we see in healthy aging population. Of course, we see a different picture of the aging population these days. They are more active. There we have people that they're in 90s years old. They run marathon, they do exercise, and they're still active. Life expectancy, of course, has been significantly increased in the last again since Second World War, and this is another topic that we discussed last time, and that's why we see the higher life expectancy right now in both men and women, and that's something that we're going to see more in 2030, which is men almost going to reach to women life expectancy. But as you know, and we all know, that we are facing a different generation of aging population these days. And as we see, there's a lot of things that we discuss, and we always say is for the aging. The message that we usually send through, I'm not saying media, but overall, in general, whatever we do, anything to stop aging, like for example, anything cosmetically we do to stop aging, we always want it to be fit. And we also encourage people to take vitamins and antioxidant to stay younger. And the other thing, sometimes we put the people on drastic diet to just eat a little, and again, don't eat anything, and just or maybe some piece of fruits a day. That's going to help you with the better aging. But one of the things is always the questioning is about live forever or forever young. One of the best explanation that I've seen a lot of time, and I can hear it from my own patient, is that they always tell me that the quantity of years is really not important. The quality of years is so important. I really like to live long as that I'm not going to be dependent, and as long as like I have a good quality of life. And but then if you agree with that, I just wanted to bring up a question. Why do you invite me tonight? Because you already know, and we are in agreement about this topic. My opinion as a geriatrician is that some of the things that I think we are not doing well with healthy aging, that we think that if we have more doctors, we have more diagnostic tests, we're taking more medication. If you take anti-aging supplements and taking multivitamin daily, that's going to help us with better aging. I just wanted to prove you, and then prove it to you, and also tell you that these are not the things that can help you with better aging. And I can tell you that or medical experience overall with aging is that, yes, when you go see your doctor, we always check your, for example, blood pressure. We send you for blood tests. We do some diagnostic. We see that your, for example, cholesterol is high, or you have high blood sugar and all this stuff. We ended up to giving you some medication you have to take. Or sometimes we do the, I always say as in, now it becomes 45 years. This used to be 50 years old. The happy birthday card from the doctors when they turn 50 years old and now 45 years old is just happy birthday, you turn 50, be excited, half a century, but now you have to do your colonoscopy. Make sure you pick up your bowel prep and be ready for colonoscopy next week, or many other diagnostic screening tests. I don't want to say that any of them are not necessary. All of them are necessary. The screening tests, if you have any problems in your system that needs to be fixed, it needs to be fixed, but with the right medication, right diagnosis, and right indication, rather than overwhelming and over medicate you and do a lot of stuff. A lot of time we are, when we say we, like for example, healthcare providers, we actually can create a lot of anxiety for the patient. Like for example, you know more about yourself. It makes you to become less happy about yourself, and then, or maybe you're going to be overstressed, and then at the same time you're not sleeping because you have a lot of thought process in your brain. Oh my God, what happened? My cardiac is not doing well. This thing's sometimes it's positive because you may change your lifestyle, but sometimes it's just going to be too much overwhelming for people. And at the end of that, as I said, most of my slides that only have pictures, is just we end up with something we call polypharmacy, which taking multiple medication, including supplement, herbal medications, many other things, to really address the problems that we found. And that's exactly the beginning of the problem. On the other side, medical field becomes extreme. The modern life modern society, and also financial burden on the healthcare. These are a lot of things that we see this day. So people, again, some sort of to change the quality of life of people, to even being technology savvy and doing everything on health and to go on the graph charts. There can be very useful, and I completely agree with that, but sometimes it can be too much overwhelming mentally for people. And again, the other problem is that pharmaceutical industry, which is, again, I have nothing against pharmaceutical industry. I know that they don't like me overall, but the pharmaceutical industry can be sometimes overwhelming for population as well. Because one of the problem is that for profit making for pharmaceutical, we need to increase the off-label use of medications. That means that either we have to produce more medication or we extended the off-label use of many of medication or prescription that we use. And that's going to be a problem in situation. And the other things that we see is antioxidant, which is going to be, or herbal or vitamins medications that we take. I wanted to, again, remember this. For making anything over the counter, anything herbal supplements or anything, any product that you pick up from the shelf of any store, don't forget that none of them, they need to be under regulation. Means that in order to have this product, you really don't need to do any clinical trial to show the efficacy of this product. You don't need to have a solid, again, peer study, publish in peer-reviewed journal, go to the FDA to prove that your product has this harm but this benefit. And then in this situation, we are saying that, yes, you're good, you can use this product, and but these are the side effects. Technically, everything is on your own risk, because this nutraceutical companies, they don't need to prove anything to you when they're selling this stuff to you. It shows on the label, they're good for memory, they increase your energy, but I have to tell you scientifically, none of them has been proven till today that you and I are talking about it. I don't know about a future that may have ability to prove it. A lot of homeopathy medicine, the homeopathic medicine, they're really not any evidence base behind that we see that, yes, they are effective. They're effective with the strength, they're effective with memory, they're effective with you feel sharper, better, younger, and all other stuff, all other indications. There's not much a study. They may say we have a study, but none of the study are clinically valuable or scientifically valuable. None of them has been done in the clinical trial with the placebo versus control group under circumstances. Are there certain criteria that is, if I'm as a physician, when I read this article, when I read this evidence base, when we discuss in our societies, we just say, yeah, that's valid study. That's impressive clinical trial that we can actually use it for a patient. We really don't have anything about any of this product. The problems that we have, it's a robotic mentality. And I always call it because we learned that modern medicine can fix everything because it's like a robot. We can change the battery, we can change the hand, we can change the leg. Yeah, we can change all the joints in our body, shoulders, hip, knee. These are the major joints that we can replace it today. But we cannot change the entire physiology. That's one thing. We cannot change neurotransmitter. We cannot change the chemical factors that are connected to each other. Every single part of this orchestra, which is running very well, we cannot change the instruments easily. And that's going to be a problematic problem that we have. Let me tell you a story. Probably many of you hear this story from me many times, but this is the true story. I'm sorry, but just been a story of a lady who has been, let me go back to previous one. Yeah, a case, that was a true story of a lady who came years ago when I had my clinic at that time, Stanford Senior Care, and a lady had a diagnosis of by outside provider of the mild cognitive insufficiency. And you know the mild cognitive insufficiency is it's a situation that you have some short-term memory loss, but you don't have dementia because you're still able or capable to do your basic daily living tasks and also your instrumental daily living tasks. You still can drive, you still can take your medication, but you have some short-term memory. You forget some names sometime, you may forget your keys, where did you put it, but it's not at the level that make you dysfunctional. That's what we call MCI, or mild cognitive insufficiency. MCI has a chance of 5 to 15% in a year to develop toward Alzheimer dementia, or any other kind, but most of them Alzheimer dementia. Some of them is reversible. If you find the causation of MCI, you can actually reverse that. Some of them, they may stable and they stay at the same level for years and not necessarily develop to dementia, especially if you know what's the causation of that. For the story of this lady, she came to us with this diagnosis, and her outside neurologist prescribed a medication we call cholinesterase inhibitor. You probably know that medication like Aricept, which the generic name is donepezil, or Exelon, which is a brand name, and the generic is rivastigmine, or galantamine, which we rarely use in the United States. But these are the medication that we use for people with mild to moderate dementia, Alzheimer's, especially, or Lewy body dementia, sometime in vascular dementia as well. But we don't use it for MCI because it hasn't chosen any study even till today that taking this medication can help to prevent you from developing dementia and Alzheimer. When she came to us, we did evaluation. We came back to her and I said, yeah, we agree with MCI diagnosis. Mild cognitive insufficiency is a good diagnosis, but I have a solution for you. You should start to go do some more socialization. You need to go see your friend. You need to call your friends and just tell them that I need to spending more time. I need to go lunch with you or dinner. Try to be more in community and engage with people. And I made a joke for her and I was saying that live like Italian means that to talk and talk and talk. Use your hands when you talk, and enjoy your life. And do a lot of exercise every day, at least walking every day for 30 minutes for 5 days a week, and be happy, stay positive. These are the things that can help you to be on an MCI for years without developing dementia, and sleep very well. All the items that at the beginning of presentation I told you, I share with her. These are very important. And eat healthy food. I mean, try to eat better food. I mean, definitely more vegetables, more grains, but you still can eat meat. You still can have chicken, fish, whatever you like to eat. And these are the things is good. Avoid excess drinking of alcohol. And these are the things that I highly recommend that you continue that. She was very disappointed when we finished their instruction. The other things that she was very disappointed because I told her, please do not take the medication that I prescribed for you for this diagnosis. It doesn't work. And the other problem is it's going to make your urine incontinence to get worse because that's the side effect of this medication. Obviously, she didn't like it. She said that I just wasted my time to be with you and to just waste my time to just telling me all the very silly instruction to go with your friend out, turn off your TV, do exercise, stay positive and all this stuff. And at least the other doctor gave me prescription for that. Obviously, she left and I haven't heard from her for a period of time till a year later. One day I was walking to one of the nursing homes, I was seeing the patient, and I found her daughter was crying, and she came to me and said, Dr. Ayati, my mom fell down 2 nights ago and she has a hip fracture. And she is in a bad shape, and now they brought her to rehab center to get rehabilitation, but she's very forgetful. She has been forgetful, worsening after we saw you after months. No, the saddest story about her mom, because I went to the bedside as a courtesy to see how she's doing. She was fully demented in 12 months, very, very demented. She was in a full dementia situation. The problem with this lady is that when she left from our visit, obviously she didn't listen to any of the advice that I gave it to her. But then she started to take the medication and her urine incontinence got worse. And she went to see another doctor, and she got the prescription for medication to help with urine incontinence, which is the side effect is going to be more confusion, balance problem. And that's at the consequence of that she fell down. And multiple consequences, worsening of the disease plus medication. And then she broke her hip and she stayed in the long-term facility. She actually died very quickly, like 8 months after that fracture, very miserable, in pain, suffer, and misery. Something that she still was able to live in her apartment in the area for probably some years with MCI. She didn't need any medication. She didn't need any doctor. She just needed to change her lifestyle. Like exactly what I said. Just be with friends, exercise, socialize, and just, again, don't take any vitamins else. They're not going to help. But these are the treatment that she could choose. And then she was not going to that drastic change so fast. Then what she was looking was absolutely wrong. She was expecting when she came to this, again, medical center, this advanced medical center, I either going to send her to do another MRI or CT scan, prescribe a medication, or she needs to have a surgery, or I need to write another prescription for her. None of them is the case. None of them would help her. Why did I help her is I told her the exercise can help her with cognition. She needs mental stimulation, stay positive. Taking medication is not helping her. And there's no vitamin and supplement to help her better sleep at night. Exactly what I said at the beginning. I was a liar or I was saying the truth. I'm telling you what. When you're talking about circle of longevity, yeah, of course, the circle of longevity is amazing. We have, again, a lot of the, like, for example, we see the disease, they can affect the circle of longevity. Environment is so important, especially when we talk about genetics. A lot of people are so interested to know about genetics. Genetics is account for like 20 to 25%. Nutrition, lifestyle, these are so important that we discover. And then the other things is disuse of our body. Luck is so important. Believe me, it's as a geriatrician, luck is 50% of what we have. You just sometimes very lucky person. But my biggest challenge always is stay positive, the lifestyle modification. Because, for example, I can easily have a patient in my office and just checking the blood pressure, checking the cholesterol, giving them some medication, and they're going to leave quickly and say, okay, well, just come back to see me in 2 months. Well, if I have to spend time to talk to the people to discuss about lifestyle changes, that's going to be the hardest part, because I have to explain, and the patient also should accept that. And that's going to be extremely difficult. Now, when we talk about genetic, I said the genetic is so important, but I always love this title from Dr. Kirkwood, that if you would live long, choose your parents well. Because, yeah, genetic is so important. But the most important things, although genetic is so important, but when we look at many other areas in the world, that they have a long life longevity, and they not necessarily have a good genes, but they live very long. And that means that this not the genes is responsible. The lifestyle of these people on this other area is actually responsible for this situation, especially when we look at the area in the world, like the blue zone area, 7 area in the world that, like Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia in Italy, and many other places in the world that they have, Iceland and many other places that, which we call blue zone, that they have a very long life expectancy, around 95, 93 years old. When you see the lifestyle, like, for example, I put a picture in Sardinia, Italy, they eat everything. They eat wine, they eat meat, they have, they are so happy. But I think the concept that they have, and it's even like people in Okinawa in Japan, even they eat very healthy diet. But the most important thing that in many studies shows in longevity is not because the way they eat or exercise, because, like, for example, they have a great social support. And that's a very, very important key. Like, for example, I specifically put this picture that, like, in most, and I bring it up always in my lecture, having sitting in the table as a family together and eating together, have a conversation with each other rather than just everybody texting their phone and not engaging active. These are the things so important for part of the healthy aging, and is proved by science. It's not something that I made it. It's just you can see tons of articles, a lot of information about how much this socialization is affecting in our life. The other things about a lot of people say, okay, well, what happened if I've had a bad luck and I had a bad genes, and can I change the control of the gene? The answer is that it's interesting because when I was in medical school, we had this impression that when you have your gene, you cannot change it anything. You're done. This is your gene. You have to leave. But then later, we just learned the epigenetic. The reality is that we can change many things. Before I want to go there, I want to show you something in the chromosome. As you see here, which is we have any cells, which is billions of cells, and there are DNA in there. And each the DNA has like a two cross chromosome. And the end of the chromosome, as you see, this is the yellow section that you see called telomerase. It's a very important for cell to be alive, and cell cycles, which is the cell's going to be dividing. And that's why it is so important to do that. When we see the telomerase, whenever we see that telomerase, which is you see here in the dark side, whenever it becomes shorter, the cells is going to die. This cell is going to be problematic, can be cancerous, can be dying cells. This is exactly one of the theory of aging. When the telomerase is going to be shrinking, then this is exactly the time that we have this problem. But epigenetic is actually the effects of the outside to genes, means the outside situation can actually helping the genes to express better, which means that telomere is going to be longer. And it's just so important to response to physiologic response. So this is exactly what we call epigenetic, like your diet, your psychological, chemical, disease, whatever, microbes, exercise, microbiome, therapeutic, anything in the genes can make the genes to be changed. And that's why the expression of the genes can be changed. And this is a great topic for science because a lot of people, including, famous people like Dean Ornish in UCSF and Elizabeth Blackburn, she actually won the Nobel Prize years ago. They have a very interesting study about the people that they had a bad genes and they had the genes of the prostate cancer, and they had experimental in them. They see for this group of people, if we put them in the period of the months to eat healthy, have a spiritual care, psychologically very well, exercise daily, and they follow them after 3 years. And then later they publish in British Journal Oncology, I believe, no, I'm sorry, in Lancet, that 5 years later, these people, whatever the bad genes that they have, they were start not to expressing, and all the good genes to start to expressing higher. That means that they technically, with their lifestyle, they're able to change the express of the gene as well. The second instruction, I want to be a little bit fast because I wanted to be respectful for your time, is to do not take unnecessary medication, which I think I closed my case with the previous case. That is this reality that we unfortunately, we take a lot of unnecessary medication. I'm not talking about necessary medication. And again, we're spending a tons of money, as billions of dollars in inpatient, in the ambulatory setting. And one of the leading cause of the death can be still this problem. The reality is that we sometimes lost the goals of the treatment. I love this cartoon. For years I have this, that the guy is dying in the bed, family's crying, and the doctor says, oh, the cholesterol of the person is very good thanks to statin or Lipitor medication to make the cholesterol. But again, a lot of time I've seen this a lot, and I share with you, a lot of time I go see the patients that there's only bone and a skin dying. And I still see that they're crushing the meds in the applesauce or yogurt, and they're just putting a spoon in the mouth of the patient. And when I just asking that, okay, what are these medications you give it to him? And said like cholesterol medication. And I'm just asking you what that person is dying is only bone and a skin. Where is the fat? What are you treating for? This person, the cholesterol medication, usually it's prescribing if for 10 years after somebody has a high atherosclerotic risk, the factors. And that means that, for example, I wanted to prevent heart attack or stroke in 10 years. But this patient is dying in 2 weeks, maybe 2 months. What are we treating for? Why do we give the cholesterol medication to that person that is already dying? What is the goals of the treatment here? Most of the time, we lost this opportunity to really understand the goals of care. And the other things to don't forget, most of the pharmaceutical trials looking for efficacy rather than safety. That's very important. Especially most of this study has been done in younger population. Like for example, for 80 years older, we really don't have in most of the trial. I mean, I know that FDA from 2012 is pushing all pharmaceutical to have older population in their studies as well in the phase 3 trial. But it's so important to understand that we need more information, especially about older adult people. And adverse drug events, it's a very serious situation. If you take more than 2 medications, more than 5 medications, more than 7, you increase the risk of adverse drug-drug interaction. Please note that the drugs, it doesn't mean only prescribed. Even herbal or over-the-counter medication you take, it can count it as the problem. And the other problem is the drug cascade syndrome. I give you the drug number 1 and there is a side effect. And you come to me and I think, okay, well, that side effect is a new medical problem. I give you drug number 2. And the drug number 2 caused the side effect. And I give you drug number 3 to cover the side effect of the first medication. And this is the reality. And I wanted to tell you a story. I probably shared this story many times. First of all, I love this cartoon in my book was there. And it was showing that somebody goes to the doctor, says, the problem is you are over medicated. Luckily, their drug can help you with that. And I think the story was the gentleman. I wrote this story in one of the newspaper. It's about the gentleman who had a weight gain. But the story was very interesting. A couple of years before, he went to his doctor and he had a sleep problem. Doctors give him sleeping medication. He came back to the doctor and said, I feel very sleepy and drowsy. And the doctor, instead of stopping his sleeping medication, gave the stimulant medication to wake him up in the morning. He started to taking it and his heart rate became fast. He went to see a doctor. The doctor gave him medication to help his heart rate to go down. After a couple of years of taking that medication, he felt fatigued. And he went back to the doctor and this time diagnosed with depression. And this time gave him antidepressant medication, which the side effect was weight gain. Now, weight gain is nothing to do that. It's just a drug cascade syndrome in this person. How about mental health? Am I still a liar or you are with me about that? It's so important to understand that the brain loves to learn something new, a new task, joyful, a new challenge for you that is out of your comfort zone. That's very important. Like, for example, if I personally wants to be retired one day, I need to go not to go to the medicine library and read the Journal of Medicine. I need to find another topic that is not my comfort zone of my brain. History, economy, art, whatever it's good. This way I can produce new neurons. Because even at the age of 100, you still produce new neurons, but you lose it faster. But in order to do that, you need to make it better. Now, when we comes to the brain, as you see the red area, this is hippocampal area, the center for learning and memory. And this is exactly the area, for example, somebody has Alzheimer's, dementia. This area start to become shrinking and small. That's why they have a problem with short-term memory. And that's very important. Now, one of these interesting things that a study has been done years ago, that they have mice and they put them on the cage. They did MRI of their brain prior to that, and they put them on the cage with new toys that this mice never had any experience with these new toys. And they did MRI a couple of weeks later, and they found interesting, the hippocampal area of the brain has gotten bigger because they exposed to the new toys for 2 weeks that they never had experience. The other things was very interesting. The study was done, which is a kind of like looking at professionals in England and in UK, and they found taxi driver in England has the bigger hippocampal area. And you know why? Because a taxi driver has the bigger, has a lot of challenge to do that in compared to other profession. That's why the challenge can help the brain to have the bigger hippocampal area. But in the 4 years, that was in 2000, 4 years later, they did a follow-up study comparison between the bus driver versus the taxi driver. And they found the bus driver has a smaller hippocampal area because the route is very same. They have to go station 1 to station 2 to station 3, and that doesn't work very well. then definitely if you depression, stress, anxiety, no learning, and less isolation, social interaction, which unfortunately a lot of us have been suffering from pandemic, it caused the losing more neurons. And if you wanted to make it active, you need to learn something new, physical activity, and stay positive. Stay positive is so important. Please don't take that when we don't have suggestion, we say you have to stay positive. There's been a study, Dr. Levy at the group of the Yale did a study years ago. They have two groups of people, one group for 2 weeks, they give them all, they are the same at the baseline. One group, they just only give them a negative messages that you're gonna die, we all depressed, we are hopeless, helpless. The other group, they only give them positive messages on a screen every day. We can do it, we are positive, we have a lot of energy. And it's interesting, when they compared to after 2 weeks, the group with negative message, they were doing much worse in their gait and balance and many other tasks. And exercise is so important. I will say that everybody knows about exercise. I think I just put it that a lot of Americans, they registered membership in the gym, but 67% of them, they don't show in the gym. That means the knowledge is there, but they still don't do it. I'm going to pass it quickly because we're going to have some time. It is important to understand the exercise. It is associated with the reduced risk of dementia and age of older. The Larson study is one of the major one. If you do exercise more than 3 times a week, we definitely see some improvement in cognitive function. We also see in the Dr. Kramer study in the Illinois that aerobic exercise, when after like 6 months, when they look at the MRI and the finding and PET scan, we see definitely the brain is just got much more improved, and we know the reason is. Even in the animal and molecular biology model, we see that exercise, it's effective, the hippocampal area. And I don't want to do the Morris ways because it's a lot of discussion. I wanted to really go to reality, that why exercise is helpful, because I wanted to give some time for a question and answer. It's because of the brain drive neurotrophic factor, something that releases in the brain when you do exercise. And this is like cement that between neurons make the neurons to become sticky and attached to each other. That's the positive effect of the BDNF. I wanted to just, and my last things about sleep, I want to say how much sleep is important. And there was only this story that I wanted to share with you. This gentleman was Randy Garner. It was very famous. He was born in 1947. He had a record of not sleeping for 264.4 hours, which is 11 days and 24 minutes. Part of the study that Dr. William Demings was, who is one of the father of sleep medicine, Stanford, who passed away a couple of years ago, sadly. But he was the main person who made a sleep medicine as a real science of medicine. And they want to see what's happened to Randy if he doesn't sleep for 11 days. And then not using any stimulant, no coffee, anything. And that was a study in 1960. He's a very famous guy. He came to CNN a couple of times. You can look at it. Randy experience was the second days, his eyes stopped focusing. He stopped identifying the objects in touch. Day 3, he becomes very moody and uncoordinated. His mood changed. He started to become hallucinating. He has short-term memory loss, just don't forget. And then he started to become paranoid. He was recovered after that. But the reality is, yes, the sleep has the amazing effect on the memory. The sleep is the time at night that does all the reconstruction in the brain. And everything that you get in your short-term memory, it goes to your long-term memory. What does it mean? Like you're listening to my presentation today, everything that I'm telling you right now, it goes to your hippocampal area, which you see in the blue color. And then in order to go to the deep layer of the sleep, to your brain, you need to sleep tonight. And if you have a good sleep tonight, then tomorrow when you wake up or next week, you can say, oh, Dr. Ayati talked about this topic. If you don't sleep well, it doesn't go to your long-term memory. You're going to forget every time I said today. It's so important for learning and memory as well. As you see here in this picture, it's a time when you're awake. You see the hippocampal is so busy. And when you sleep, you started to migrating all the information to the deeper layer. When you wake up in the morning, if you sleep very well, all the information, it went to the right places, and your hippocampal area is completely empty, ready for the next day. Same story for vitamins. There's no benefit of multivitamins prevent chronic disease, infection, including pneumonia, urinary tract infection. USPS task force found insufficient evidence to recommend for or against use of multivitamins or single or paired vitamin or mineral at all. There's editorial things, enough is enough, stop wasting money in vitamins and mineral supplement. I just want to say there's a physician trial study shows there's no relationship that vitamin C can decrease the risk of cancer, and really not. I mean, and the same thing for vitamin C and heart. Randomized shows no benefit of vitamin C for primary or secondary prevention of the coronary heart disease. Even a physician health study too, which is on 14,000 physicians, vitamin C and vitamin E, none of them shows that any effect on cardiac heart disease. Again, no effect of the primary and the cardiovascular end for vitamin C. That's very important to know. There's really lack of evidence for that. There's no joke about vitamin D. Vitamin D is important. It's important for bones and helping with the fall. But there's no real. There are some epidemiologic study show vitamin D may prevent colon cancer. It's only epidemiologic, not in clinical trial. And in meta-analysis in 18 randomized trial in older adult people, women, vitamin D supplement has no effect on incidence of cancer. And that's something that we just know that. However, again, there's not effects on cardiovascular or even a stroke as well. And that's something I would just want to know. And there, if you go to Europe, the standing committee of the European doctors always making this statement, there's no convincing randomized trial that any vitamin D can help decrease risk of cancer and risk of severe infection. But I always recommend it for then conclusion that I was not a liar. And growing up is mandatory, growing up is optional. And the other things that I really like from Franz Kafka, anyone who keeps the ability to see beauty never grows old. And when it comes to staying young, a mind lift beats a facelift any day. And the other things that I like it, I'm writing you a prescription. Do you want a longer life with less quality or vice versa? I'm gonna thank you so much. And I have some questions in the chat that I'm going to answer. I always finish it up with aging is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Thank you again for this opportunity. Let me just go back again to back to conversation of Q&A. There were some questions here that I had it initially, that why there are not enough geriatricians, and that has been asked. And I just want to say that that's true. First of all, geriatric medicine is a subspecialty after the primary care specialty, the internal medicine, family medicine. Unfortunately, we don't have enough staff. We're shortage of a staff of 20,000 geriatricians until age of 2030, when we have a significant increase of aging population. And there's no way that we're going to reach to that number. Even if we increase the number of fellowship programs, we can't. I mean, that's the sad reality about this. And then the other thing is that many of the geriatricians are in the research or they're working in the VA or VA system or the different, and most of them they're in academic area. And this is what made the geriatrician to become available less. And again, the other question was about the using of geriatrician in long-term or assisted living facility. That's an ideal. There is something that I wanted to share with you. The primary care doctor, by definition, they have a medical student that they're going to go to different specialty. In the United States, they have probably 3 to 4 hours of the geriatric training during the entire medical school. And for primary care physician, that's probably going to be 2 weeks or to a month. A month, it will be ideal, but most of program, they don't. But 2 weeks, and honestly, that the average, I will say 5 days in the total residency year, that they have real geriatric rotation and evaluation. That's why primary care needs to improve their learning to geriatric, which we encourage to do through the CME and understanding about geriatric population. And I'm hoping that these situations will be better, that we can have better situation. Another question asked in chat, are you saying that age 60 and up, there's no reason to take vitamins and supplement? The answer is yeah, there's no reason to take it. Technically, if you have a balanced diet, you get all the vitamins and nutrients that you need it. You really don't need it. This is not coming from me. This is coming from all the, again, the societies that they are saying that really there's nobody needs it. When you go to the market, you see that aging vitamins, women health, men health, 60 above, these are all market-oriented bias, and they're really not any evidence that's telling you and I that these are the vitamins that you need. Don't also forget, vitamins can be harmful sometimes because some of the vitamins are fat-soluble vitamin, like vitamin A, E, K, D. If you take too much, it can be toxic in your body because you cannot excrete it. Vitamin B and C is water-soluble vitamin. It doesn't matter how much you take it. I always see the people taking high dose of vitamin C. Let me tell you about water-soluble vitamin. If you have, I'm always saying that, if you have a box of orange, with the first orange, you get 500 milligrams of vitamin C. That's the daily needed. But you say, I wanted to finish the box of orange because I want to get all the vitamin C. Okay, well, enjoy it. But the rest of the vitamin C that you're taking from that box of orange, they all go to the bathroom. None of them is going to be safe in your body. That's why when you take a lot of it, like a lot of people do IV vitamin therapy, they go get vitamin C IV, and it just, it's almost like a joke. I'm sorry to say that, but these are the joke, because there's really not. First of all, it can be dangerous because we don't know what's when you're loading your body with sudden shock of vitamins, how it's going to be effective. They don't have any evidence. If they say no, they're very effective, but there's no clinical trial. There's no evidence showing that it's effective. It can be also harmful. That's why the answer to your question is not. And that's why I do not recommend to take anything that you don't know the efficacy, and it can be also harmful as well. I think we are at the end of the question. I don't see any other question in the Q&A. Again, I just wanted to thank you all. Let me see, there's maybe another question came up. Oh, that's just thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, thanks to Kensington for arranging and organizing this educational seminar. I think it's very helpful for all of us to know about what's the reality, what is in the evidence-based medicine. I still, as a geriatrician, I make myself committed to do evidence-based medicine, and I try to be aware of anecdotal and off-label use. If there is anecdotal off-label, I wanted to share with my patient that these are off-label anecdotal. There's really not evidence behind that. I don't like to change the medication from one step to other step so fast, because there can be harmful for patients. And I think this should be something that we all need to do it. We need to ask our doctors about do that. I always encourage all my patients, or even like in public seminars, I always tell the people, you have to have a good idea about why are you taking this medication? Are they gonna, if you don't take them tonight, are you gonna die tomorrow or not? And your doctor should have an answer for that. And that's very important to, these are so important for medication-wise, to know it. But I still feel the best thing in medicine is still to stick with evidence-based. I always seen the good outcome in my patients. I never tried anything personal experience. I never try personal experience. Even if I see sometimes personal experience effective, I still feel that evidence-based and scientific way is the best way to go. Yeah, with that, how often, how do you feel about lechem? I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry. I just think Leslie asked me a question. I have no idea what is that even. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's something over the counter or just something nutritional, or but I have no idea what is that. Which vitamins are best for boosting testosterone? None. Zero. there's really not vitamins that can boosting the testosterone. I think Diana asked this question. There's really not any vitamins can boost the testosterone. If somebody has a testosterone deficiency, again, it needs to be first diagnosed well that you have testosterone deficiency or not. And if you don't have the testosterone deficiency, then you don't need to take anything to increase the testosterone. Don't forget, if your body doesn't need extra testosterone, and after a certain age can be very dangerous, affecting cardiovascular, and also can kick the bone marrow to increase rate of the red blood cell, which we call polycythemia, and can increase risk of a stroke. That's why I really encourage the people that only people that they have low testosterone level are the one may benefit, but even in some of the patients that even they have a low testosterone level, I do not recommend to use testosterone if they have a heart disease. And that's why we just want to make sure that we do not doing it. Is a Biogen Alzheimer's? Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, now I know what you got one that coming by. Okay. This is L-side Biogen medication. I'm sorry. I think the spelling was, I didn't get it. Yeah. Let me tell you about the new medication that actually L-side Japanese company and Biogen, because you're going to ask me a lot about that. It's a medication that actually got approval on January, I believe, 6th or 3rd in FDA. I've been aware of this medication prior to coming. It's a very positive medication, but again, it's only working for people with the MCI mild dementia status. We still we have to evaluate the risk and benefit of the brain bleeding that because again there has been some report of the death to brain bleeding during the trial, but again it's still because of the effects when we shrinking the amyloid, the area can have the bleeding, and that's something that needs to be a little bit better evaluated for risk and benefit. But I'm very positive about this. I think whatever is happening right now in the science of the Alzheimer treatment, this is exactly the starting point. I mean, maybe lecanemab is not the medication that is starting the treatment. There's going to be more advanced medication coming on in the near future, but this is exactly the starting point of the treatment. The only problem right now we have that is if the CMS going to approve this medication, because it's extremely expensive. Infusion is around like $20,000 to $30,000 a year, and again, one of the reasons the CMS is still hesitant, because first of all they want to see this the how much actually the money they have to spend, because you're required to have regular MRI to look at the REI, or just looking at the brain bleeding, and infusion center, cost of infusion center as well. But I hear that Biogen and L-side are going to have some solid plan for first group of the people in like a phase 4, which we call aftermarket, to see how the things going on, have infusion center available. We're still waiting. I'm still personally waiting to get more information about how we can actually start and finding selective the patients that they wanted to pay out of pocket. But I'm hoping the Medicare, I don't think Medicare is going to prove it very soon. It usually takes a year, maybe 6 months to a year to really get the approval, especially if they see the phase 4, it will be effective. But I can tell you, Leslie, that definitely the antibody way, or even the people are doing trial for tau antibody, that can be very helpful way to go. And then some have said because it's slow, no cures, it drags out the inevitable. I don't agree. Yeah, I mean, first of all, we don't know even, again, because the phase 3 trial, we don't know about cure of the problem. The reality is that a lot of the Alzheimer people do not necessarily have amyloid pathology. We have a lot of people that have vascular dementia, and a lot of people have Lewy body dementia, which seems that this group of medications, the new medications, may not going to be effective in treatment of dementia. But again, for people that have amyloid issues, that can be still a positive sign. Again, I'm optimistic. I haven't seen anything. We're still waiting because it just happened to clinical phase 3 trial, and now if a primary FDA approval, but we're still going to wait to see how the thing's going to go in 6 months to a year from today. I don't think we're going to see it very soon. Stanford is running this study to using it for healthy people. If you are interested, you can contact Stanford Memory Center for people that don't have MCR dementia, but they want to see if they even develop the amyloid protein in the future. You can contact Dr. Sharon Shaw as Stanford are doing the study as well. There are also the anti-tau antibody studies running in Stanford as well, that they are using the antibody for tau protein. Again, I believe that 2023 toward 2024, we may see some light. I know there's not going to be a big light in the end of tunnel, but I'm very optimistic that it is going to be some solution, or at least slowing or some stability. But you're absolutely said, it's still even like 27% of stability over time of cognition. That may be some positive feature that we're going to see. I hope so. I'm not saying that I'm very optimistic, but I can tell you for sure till today, there's really no cure for any dementia, even with the new medications. Okay, well, I think we are end of question. I think we answer all the questions. Yeah, again, I think it's just going to be end of this webinar, and thank you so much again for having me here. I wish you all the best. Try to be living your life very well, happy, positive, and exercise well, and definitely find the risk factors, modify the risk factors is going to be very important. These are really the key. And again, the rest of the stuff that you hear in the website, and most of them run by commercial campaign, don't trust them easily, and always check with your doctors about are they true or not. Have a great evening, and have a great year. Thank you so much.